Consumer culture needs you to confuse wanting with needing. And judging by the title, I know you're curious. But before that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hype the video, watch the full video. Let's dive straight in.
Hey Dan, I got a guy on the Durango. Just put in an app. Can you check it out?
379 score. Like, he's got an open auto, he's 30 days past due on a charge off. Here's my question to you. He makes good money. Why isn't he paying any of his bills?
He just beat eye cancer. $300K in medical debt, didn't have gap insurance on his car, so he's still paying it off even though it's totaled.
That's a really, really tough scenario to be in. Well, this is why I try not to judge anybody on their credit, because you could be doing everything right your entire life. Something like that happens. What can you do? All that aside, I need to get this guy an approval. I'm hoping he has a very significant down payment.
He started with $9,000, but it seems like he's open to more if he has time.
I don't think I'm going to get this guy approved even with 10,000 or more down, but let me see what I can do and I'll let you know. I want to say got an approval, but it's not really an approval. There's one bank that will do it, $21,000 down. He's at 9,000. How realistic is it to get to 21,000? Well, that's a question for you. It's a high lender fee. It's a high interest rate. It's a bad deal for me and for him. It's a bad deal,
Right.
But it is a deal.
He came up a lot. He's at $18K. He can't do $1 more than that.
It's crazy for me to tell you I can't get somebody approved with $18,000 down. But again, we're dealing with a 379 score. Circumstances are terrible, but the bank doesn't see that. They see the numbers. All they see is red. They're not looking for a story. They're looking at numbers. And I want to do everything I can to help this guy out. But my hands are tied.
I'm bewildered just like you are, right? But there comes a point in life where rejection isn't rejection. It's protection, right? Because if you walk into a dealership with $18,000 down, cash, ready to throw it away on a Dodge Durango, and the bank looks at your finances and says, nah, we don't even want to make money off of you. Like, brother, that's the bank trying to save you from yourself. We're all trying to say the quiet thing out loud, and that is, brother, just buy an $18,000 car. You just survived eye cancer. If your finances aren't handled right, it can lead to a lot of health complications. If this was my brother, a loved one, I would basically tell them, brother, you're in a blissful situation. You got rejected from the bank. You don't need the bank being the middleman. You have cash, right? Go to the auction, buy a $13,000 Durango, put $5,000 to fix it. Bow, no debt. The second option is you can use that $18,000 to pay off that loan with the gap for a car that you're paying for, and you don't even have that car, right? Let's say it's $10,000 for the loan. Pay it off. Use the $8,000 to buy a car, a whoopty that can help you last for a little bit, and then get the Durango. You're an eye cancer survivor. You know what I mean? I root for you and I hope you win, but the fewer payments you have, the more honest you can afford to be with your life.
I'm a 21-year-old man and I still live with my parents. Let me tell you why though. First, let me show you what I got for lunch real quick. Keep the Lunch Easy lunchbox. Bottom compartment is for the self-heating lunch. Top compartment for my nice crispy Pepsi Zero. For lunch today, huevitos con salchicha, some tortillas. I mentioned before that I live with my parents and I've gotten a lot of haters saying, you're a grown man, you can't pay your own bills, get out of your mama's house. It's a difference between me not being able to pay bills and choosing to stay with my parents. I know there's people out there that have a bad relationship with their parents. In my case, I don't. Why would I not take advantage of the opportunity they're giving me by allowing me to just pay like $400 a month? It's me paying $1,200, $1,400 a month on an apartment plus other bills on top of that. Boy, I'm able to just save up, invest my money, and when I'm ready to buy a house, I'll go ahead and go buy a house, man. Like, it'd be dumb if I left my parents' house right now in this situation I'm in.
Right.
Housing market is crazy. Still in the 4-year apprenticeship. The situation I'm currently living in, I'm able to just save and invest about 70% of my income, which is insane. I feel like when I mention that, that's when people get mad because they don't have what I have. And that is the potential to create wealth for my family. And I 10 lunch. Hope you have a good one.
That is a blessing, folks. That's what you call a blessing. But this situation is not new because I give this advice on this channel and you guys are my witnesses. You guys know I say this because it is mutually beneficial for you to live with your parents if you are trying to get ahead financially in a world where debt-based system is really crippling a lot of people. 99% of people, right, have had bad debt or are living with bad debt today. So when you live with your parents and, you don't let the world dictate, right, that you're a big boy or you're a big guy and you can do it all by yourself, right? No, because financial discipline is less about mathematics and more about emotional tolerance, which you can tolerate, right? And the more you can tolerate while you're young, the more you can build for yourself. And this is a good idea, right? And pay your mom's utilities, continue to save money. He looks like he got it figured out. This kid is going to build financial independence and is going to build generational wealth just by his mentality already. At 21, most 21-year-olds don't think like this, right? Most 21-year-olds are buying lunch every single day. he's bringing lunch from home. And I do understand that sometimes most people can't do this because they do have a bad relationship with your parents. I understand that. You have traumas, you have arguments, you have bad, memories. But at the end of the day, if that's not the case and you can't do this, then what you need to do is you need to limit your expenses, right? Maybe don't get the luxury apartment. Maybe get a 1 bedroom or a studio apartment and then, do what you have to do. If your parents' relationship isn't that bad, please go do it because you can pay off student loans way faster, right? You can pay off the car payment within a year. You can save so much, which then you can do whatever you want with that money. Put it down as a big down payment for a house, start that business, start that capital, raise it, and then start that business. And this is why I started the video by saying consumer culture needs you to confuse wanting with needing. Capitalism and consumerism are siblings, and they need isolation and independence for it to win. I'm curious about reading the comments. Let's do it. I want my son educated and financially stable before he leaves. W mom. He said, sounds like you're just more smarter than the haters. That's a fact. Living with your parents and having a healthy relationship with them is the biggest blessing. It is perfect opportunity to save as much as you can. It is very refreshing to see a young Hispanic man making these videos. I hope you can inspire others. Hispanics got this figured out. I ain't gonna lie to you. They all live together, split the bills, and they get ahead financially. Bro, the same. I live with my parents since I was 18. Now I'm 30. I got 2 houses. I rent them. They don't work. They spend their money on whatever they want. I pay for everything. Paying it forward. I love that. There is nothing wrong with staying with your parents. You are both helping each other. My son is 24, still lives with me. He gives me $500 a month. He does all the yard work, so I no longer pay landscapers. He does all the vacuuming, mopping, cleaning, and all the bathrooms. He gives me money every week to get a pedicure. He does his own laundry. I just cook all his meals, and he watches my dogs in my house when I go on vacations. I'll be sad when he moves out. This is a blessing. This is a blessing. In this economy, hell yeah, not only are they helping you, but you are also helping them. It's a fact. It's a win-win situation. It's like I said, it's mutually beneficial, right? Because I think if you're a parent watching this and you don't have a good relationship with your kids, I think it's time for you to just kind of, help each other out and, just lead by example on both ends. So this is a W. Shout out to this kid. He's going to keep going in life and he's going to do great things.
Making a whole bunch of money at a young age is probably one of the worst things that can happen to you. The other day I had a little homie in my live. He said he's 23 years old making $130,000, right? And he was telling me saving was boring to him. He had got up to like $30,000 saved. And like a typical 23-year-old went in, put a big down payment on a nice car, got it wrapped, and his savings went from $30,000 to $5,000. And I was trying to explain to him, bro, that's the best time to be saving is when you feel like you don't have to. The best time to prepare for war is in a time of peace. And I was also telling him that's the best time to be trying to invest. So in the next 5 to 7 years, he can have a whole bunch of money working for him and making the money that don't require all his time, physical presence, or energy. But in typical 23-year-old fashion and the mindset, the money is coming in so much that he's not worried about any of that because he feels like he can get the money, blow it, and it's gonna come right back. So at 23, life hasn't really hit him or happened to him, so he ain't really tripping on it. But what I was trying to explain to him is like, even when I was young, I used to hear so many older men be like, bro, I touched so much money and they ain't got nothing to show for it. They don't have no house, they don't own nothing, no investments. So all that money that they touched, it just got blue. And now that life happened, they had kids, they had a family, life slowed down for them. It's hard for them to get that type of money back, or even if they do still make that same amount of money, their expenses have increased dramatically, so now it ain't hitting the same. And so that's why I think it's important, like at really like 8th grade, freshman year in high school, like these kids have to start learning how money works, how to invest, how to, use it, because when you making that much money and you ain't really got no huge responsibilities, of course you're gonna touch it, you're gonna blow it, but then oftentimes when it's too late, that's when we realize we should have been stacking, we should have been investing, because then life happened and then we look back and we ain't got nothing to show for it.
All this behavior stems from the kids really watching their parents, how they made certain financial decisions, what they said, because kids don't do what you say, they do what you do, right? And it is true. Making a lot of money at 20 years old or 23 can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse. And you can see 2 different spectrums. You have a kid that's living with his parents, saving a lot of money, trying to get ahead financially. Then you have the Instagram child, right? You have the kid that's trying to get appearance and validation, right? And it's a curse because you get the reward before you build the wisdom. Like your lifestyle grows faster than your character. And then you start thinking that expensive things is normal, convenience is necessary, and the money will always be there, like he said. And that's the danger of winning too early, because there's no experience. And that's the danger of winning too early, because you can never learn how to live without the applauses, the status, or the big paychecks. And if the money slows down, you just don't lose your income. You lose the identity that is built around it. And that's why you have a lot of people that are putting on a character, cosplaying wealth. And when the paycheck is not the same, or you get fired, you start to have a house of cards that's falling apart, and the performance gets exposed. And that's why you have a lot of kids that are facing a lot of depression, anxiety, or even sometimes suicide, because they're living too fast. And the life that they're living now is meant for somebody that has been through the wisdom, been through the experience, been through the hurdle, the hurt, right? The bad financial mistakes. If you don't have the mindset of a dollar earned is a dollar respected, then it is true. You're going to be grown old and you have nothing to show for it.
And I hear a lot of people on this app talk about lifestyle inflation. Like before, when you used to drive a beater that was paid off and you had no car payment, but then you got a nice fancy job and then you got your Benz and now you have $1,000 car payment. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the amount of money that I have to spend to be able to work, to be able to sustain my high income. So if we look back, 4 or 5 years ago when my business was just getting off the ground and I was not making a ton of money, and I also probably wasn't working as much as I'm working now. I had the time to cook breakfast every single day and lunch and dinner every single day. I had the ability to not work weekends and not work nights. Like my schedule was less demanding, right? But then I got to a point where the business blew up. And now I'm working a substantially more demanding job than I was just years prior. And that looks like I now need to live in nanny. I need childcare because I have to be able to go run into the office during second shift if something goes amiss. Like I have to have systems in place that allow me to fulfill my role as the CEO of my business. And that has required things like landscapers. So when I have 8 hours on the weekend that I can spend, I want to spend it with my family, not doing the yard, or having a meal prep service. So I'm not just eating junk food every single day because I'm not taking the time, again, to meal prep. And these things, like I feel like when you talk about them without talking about context, without sharing the full context, it looks like lifestyle inflation. Like me talking about landscapers or housekeeper or a live-in nanny sounds like these luxury expenses and they sound like lifestyle inflation. However, I've been the crazy person in spreadsheets doing the math, being like, hey, it costs me more money to spend an hour cooking dinner than it does to hire a meal prep service. Or it costs me more money to spend 2 hours every single weekend doing my yard than if I spent that 2 hours at work.
I think we get what you're trying to say. I think she was going around in circles saying the same thing over and over again. Okay, you got money, we got it. And I do understand this idea of do what you do best and delegate the rest. But being rich, yes, can become very expensive because eventually you start buying your time back. It is true. Because you don't have to do things like she mentioned, like cleaning, cooking, childcare, errands. You can outsource everything because your time feels more valuable. And that in itself is a blessing. But you can now start to understand why this will bother people. Because regular people are tired too. They work all day, right? The difference is they can't afford to outsource their exhaustion. And that's the reason why when people make this type of money, they start to have a bad relationship with their children because they don't really get to have good quality time. They feel like, oh, the nanny got it. That is the time that you're supposed to build with your child. Money is supposed to free you. And if it's just making you work more and you're outsourcing things, you can start to see why a lot of people, right, rich people especially, don't have good relationship with their children, and then it becomes harder for them to reconcile that relationship with their children. But, you know what I'm saying? A lot of things that we learned today is that, it's important to really put your ego to the side. And like I said, financial discipline has a lot to do with emotional tolerance. If you have a lot of debt, honestly, listen, if my parents had a bigger house, I would move in because I know I would save more money and do better things. But at the end of the day, I know this life creates character. But I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm going to end it here. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Please hype the video. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. With that being said, be good, do good. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.